Bill O'Reilly here. You are listening to the O'Reilly Update. Coming up next, the news with Mike Slater.
Thank you, Bill. It's Monday, March 25th, 2024. Here's what's happening today in America. Kamala has studied the maps. Attack in Russia, Instagram default, and the first man ever to do this. It's all coming up. Then Bill's going to be here with your message of the day. But first, Kamala Harris, the current vice president, she said that if Israel invades Rafah, there will be consequences for Israel. Rafah is the southernmost portion of Gaza. It's the part right up against Egypt, which, by the way, built a massive wall to prevent people from Gaza going into Egypt. There might be 1.4 million people in this area. And our vice president said, let me tell you something. I've studied the maps. There's nowhere for those folks to go. And we've been clear in multiple conversations and in every way that any major military operation in Rafah would be a huge mistake. And the reporter said, are you ruling out that there will be consequences from the United States? She said, I am ruling out nothing. We've been very clear that far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. We've been very clear that Israel and the Israeli people and Palestinians are entitled to an equal amount of security and dignity. Wow. Russia has arrested 11 people after that terrorist attack in the Moscow concert hall. They claim the death toll is 115 people. Plenty of truth here still to uncover, but it's newsworthy now because Putin says some of the perpetrators fled towards the Russia-Ukraine border, saying that the terrorists had, quote, appropriate contacts in Ukraine. So this could kick off something more with that war. Instagram has automatically restricted political content in your feed. The timing is suspect. The new default setting is that Instagram will limit your political content, the political content you see, unless you explicitly choose to see it. So to remove this setting, you go to Settings, then Privacy, then Content Preferences, then Political Content, and choose Don't Limit. Zuckerberg spent $400 million in the last election. So don't think that these social media companies, with all the power they have, will not use it for their own benefit. We don't share a lot of figure skating news here, but Ilya Malinin from Virginia is a name we should know. He's the greatest figure skater in the world, just won the world championship with a record high score. He's the first person to ever land a quadruple axel. An axel is even harder because you have to spin forward. So it's 4.5 rotations. I don't watch figure skating, but for 30 seconds every 4 years, but it's always good to know that an American is the best in the world at something. I'm Mike Slater from the podcast Politics by Faith. The great Bill O'Reilly has your message of the day. Next.
If you own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles and have an auto warranty about to expire or have no warranty at all, listen up. Car Shield has a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that's now available to the public. Save on out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. So please call Car Shield now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. 800-925-7584 for a free quote. This protection plan is at an all-time low in price. Drivers who activate the vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. So please call for your free quote, 800-925-7584, 800-925-7584. Hey, what do you have to lose? 800-925-7584. Time now for the O'Reilly Update message of the day. On this Monday, we begin Holy Week in the Roman Christian and Protestant religions, and that leads up to Easter next Sunday. This used to be a very big deal, Holy Week. I remember when I was a kid in Catholic school, we had all kinds of pageants and visiting churches, all of that. That's gone, that's vanished. And the decline of religion in America is fairly stunning. So what has happened is a lack of discipline, because in order to practice your faith, you need to be disciplined because there are rules. And a lot of people these days don't want any rules, and that is passed down from family to family. My whole family for hundreds of years, coming from Ireland, were Irish Catholics. Now, there's another reason. The clerics, generally speaking, in America in all religions are boring. They don't relate to the folks. They don't apply the theology to modern life. I go to church every Sunday. I'm telling you, I sit there sometimes and go, what the deuce is going on with the sermon? The final thing is that people believe what they want to believe, and that goes for the converse. So if you don't want to believe in God, you're not going to believe in God. He could come down and buy you a car, and you still probably wouldn't believe him. I'm Bill O'Reilly. I approve the message by writing it. You can reach me, Bill at BillO'Reilly.com, Bill at BillO'Reilly.com, name and town if you wish to opine. Now let's go to the mail. David, concierge member, I believe the 9 House Republicans who voted against the resolution to condemn Putin for kidnapping Ukrainian children did so because of their dislike of Speaker Mike Johnson. Well, if that's true, and I certainly don't know if it is, that's despicable. You stick up for the kids. Jim, Bill, what would have to change in terms of process of law to restrict a single loon judge from reversing rulings, sometimes from the highest court? How can a single judge in New Orleans stop Texas from detaining migrants? It wasn't a single judge. It was a federal court of appeals based in New Orleans with 3 judges. Supreme Court kicked it back to them. They put a stay on the Texas law, so it stops cold. That'll be appealed. The judges in New Orleans, the 3-judge appeals court, will rule. And if they rule against Texas, Texas then will file, and it'll go back to the Supreme Court. It's a little complicated, but you have to go through the stair step to get to the Supremes. Les Hartsfield, Camas, Washington. Why aren't the NGOs who are aiding and abetting illegals and defying immigration laws being sued? Because the federal government is funding many of those NGOs. They're doing humanitarian work. What are you going to sue them on? Federal government's sending them money to house and feed migrants. So that's what the situation is. George Pivarnik, Las Vegas. When do schools stop teaching history? My neighbor's kid is in the 9th grade, does not know who Benjamin Franklin is. The collapse of the public school system began about 20 years ago, 2004. It's due to a variety of subjects. Woke, of course. You say something about history that some kid runs home and you're in trouble. Laziness, there's a whole bunch of reasons. But the kid's in 9th grade and doesn't know who Benjamin Franklin is. I guess he's never looked at a $50 bill. In a moment, something you might not know. Our freedoms should never be taken for granted. They must be cherished, protected, and defended. When corporations pander to the liberal agenda, they must be punished. When corporations stand up for conservative values, they should be supported. This brings me to Freedom 2.0. The bottled water company that proudly represents us. They have hilarious sayings on each bottle like, "This water ain't woke," and "bottled with liberal tears." Use the code BILL for a 15% discount and subscribe to Freedom 2.0. We must never discount freedom, but we can discount water as long as you use the code BILL. Please visit freedom20.com to order now. That's freedom, the number 2, the letter O.com. Freedom20.com, use code BILL for 15% off. Now, the O'Reilly Update brings you something you might not know. Major League Baseball begins this week. Each year, 70 million Americans visit ballparks. It is the national pastime. In total, fans eat 22 million hot dogs at the parks, drink 20 million pints of beer, sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" 3,000 times. But sadly, a trip to the park has gotten very expensive. In 1960, the average cost of a baseball ticket was $1. That's $9 adjusted for inflation today. But that has drastically changed. Here are the most expensive ballparks in America for the 2024 season. New York's Yankee Stadium tops the list. Average ticket price $100. A beer in the Bronx will set you back $14. Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles. $300 will put you at field level, but hungry fans prefer to watch from the all-you-can-eat pavilion for unlimited Dodger dogs. That's an extra $50 per person. Then Boston's Fenway Park, which holds a record for the longest sellout streak of all time, 2003 to 13. Average price in Boston, $90. The most popular food item, a lobster BLT, which costs, wait for it, $34. The most expensive ballpark in America, Citi Field in Queens, New York. Prices start at $50, but go as high as $3,000 a ticket to see the Mets. Between tickets, parking, food, and souvenirs, a 3-hour trip to watch the New York Mets costs an average family $700. That figure was $40 back in 1990. And here's something else you might not know. High prices and inflation will keep millions of baseball fans home. Last year, attendance at the ballparks down 12%. For most working families, it makes more sense to take $700 and buy a new television. Then you can watch the games at home. Back after this. Everything is expensive these days, you know that. The government is printing trillions of dollars and consumer prices higher than ever. If the government continues its printing and spending, the dollar could continue its free fall, but there are a few things you can do right now. American Hartford Gold can show you how to protect your money, your retirement, your hard-earned savings against inflation by helping you diversify a portion of your portfolio into physical gold and silver. Start with a short phone call, and they can have physical gold and silver delivered right to your door or put inside your 401k or IRA. So please call or text them right now. Tell them Bill O'Reilly sent you. Call 877-444-GOLD, 877-444-GOLD, or text GOLD to 65532. Again, that's 877-444-GOLD, or text GOLD to 65532. Thank you for listening to the O'Reilly Update. I am Bill O'Reilly. No spin, just facts, and always looking out for you.